Whenever you think of Wemmbu, you probably think of the strongest player on Unstable SMP, the ruthless player who kills anyone in his path. On paper, Wemmbu should have the best life out of any protagonist on this server. He has the mace, orbital strike cannon, and insane combat skills, and yet his actual situation is probably worse than anyone around him. This is why it sucks to be Wemmbu. Let's start with Parrot for comparison, because understanding Parrot's curse is the only way to fully understand why Wembu's situation is different and harder. Parrot lost people. Leafys died in front of him. Newfully got killed by the director. Dean died in the void after Parrot unknowingly pulled the trigger. Uni, Luigi, Naparizzo, each one gone permanently and without warning. That is devastating, and nobody is arguing otherwise. But permanent loss is grief. You process it, you carry the memory, and eventually you find a way to keep going. Parrot has buried people and built something new. That cycle is brutal, but it has an endpoint. What Wemmbu experiences is not grief. Instead, it's something we call chronic anxiety. Let me ask you a question. What hurts more? Getting rejected by a crush or never getting a direct answer from her? Speaking for a friend, I can confidently tell you it's the latter, because being stuck in a constant loop is infinitely worse than a closed one. Now, how does this connect to Wembu's life on the server? Eggchan gets captured, then freed, then captured by someone different, then freed again, then captured again by a third faction that uses eggchan to control Wemmbu. The cycle has run through Prince Am's civilization, the Invisible Mafia, the Skulk Kingdom, the Invisible Assassins Open Auction, and Arachnid's Castle Cell. 5 separate factions, same person, same outcome every time. Parrot lost his friends permanently, and that is devastating. Wemmbu has never been allowed to lose eggchan, and has never once been allowed to keep him safe. That specific combination, knowing someone is alive and reachable, and suffering and accessible only through another impossible price, is its own category of damage that grief doesn't actually describe. Parrot processed his losses, while Wemmbu has been paying ransom for the same person for 3 seasons, and the meter keeps resetting. The first time it happened, Prince Am's forces took eggchan during the colony conflict, and Wembu smuggled items past an inventory check using the crafting menu, triggered an orbital cannon lag spike, and broke them both out in one sequence. The second time, the Invisible Mafia activated eggchan's stasis chamber, and flamefrags used them as leverage to get Gambit, the most valuable item Wembu owned. Wembu handed over his signature mace to keep eggchan alive. The third time, the Skulk Kingdom took him for his book of server coordinates, and Wembu destroyed the entire kingdom to get him back, only for the invisible player to steal the book the moment Wembu's attention shifted. The fourth time, eggchan was auctioned on an open island to Wembu, flamefrags, Arachnid, and Jaded Man simultaneously, and Wembu was seriously considering giving up Gambit again before Arachnid's offer was accepted first. The fifth time, Arachnid held eggchan in a cell at the top of the castle and used his freedom as payment for every mission Wembu completed inside the underground civilization, including the assassination of Paramount, the capture of Merchant City, and the Capital City War. And after all of that, Arachnid pushed the button and dropped Wembu into a pit. Eggchan was not freed. But before you keep going, I want to ask you to subscribe, because I'm trying to hit 100k by the end of the year, and it would mean the world to me. Wembu did experience clean loss once, and almost nobody talks about it. Rejoicing was a god protecting a spire from the Mafia in the underground civilization, someone who had been in Wembu's orbit long enough to matter, and he was killed by a warden during the conflict there without warning and without anything Wembu could have done about it. Permanent loss, the kind Parrot has experienced over and over, and it barely registered in the larger story because the eggchan situation demanded all the attention all the time. Rejoice is proof that Wembu is not immune to that kind of grief all the protagonists carry. He just also has the chronic eggchan cycle running on top of it. He got both categories of loss simultaneously. Most protagonists deal with one or the other. Now let's talk about the power chase, because this is where Wembu's situation becomes genuinely circular, in a way that makes it worse the more you think about it. His entire personality is built around the need to be the strongest, and that need need does not function like a goal with a finish line. It functions like a hunger that getting stronger never fully satisfies because it keeps raising the standard for what counts as strong enough. Main Pad called him a lost cause and left a sign behind when he walked away. That label became the engine of Wembu's entire power up from that point forward. He spent seasons trying to prove Main Pad wrong, not by becoming a better or more principled person, but by becoming a more powerful fighter. He achieved it. By any measurable standard, he surpassed where Main Pad left him. And then eggchan got taken again, and none of it mattered, because orbital cannons do not stop factions from using one unarmed player as leverage. The flamefrags rivalry runs through the same pattern. But before I continue with the video, do you want to join Unstable SMP and fight like Wemmbu? Well, I recently partnered with a few creators to create unstableworld.net, a server with a bunch of kits inspired by your favorite Unstable SMP members, with the best kit being Wemmbu. You can even play KitPvP like Tio. So if that interests you, join my server unstableworld.net. Anyways, back to the video. Wemmbu could not beat Flame in a fair fight at the PvP tournament, and that loss stuck with him. When he finally engaged Flame seriously in the open world, which he did win, but which also confirmed the thing he was trying to disprove. Beating someone by changing the terms of the fight is not the same as proving you are stronger. That distinction matters because this was never resolved by winning through the cannon. It was just postponed. And the most absurd version of this entire arc is Capital City, where Wemmbu delivered the most dominant performance in server history, macing 6 of the most significant players on the server in a single battle, destroying both factions simultaneously, and walking away with a casual promise of a rematch for flamefrags, the greatest display of individual power the server has ever produced. And then Arachnid pressed the button and Wemmbu fell into a dark pit, and eggchan was still not free. The pattern of every faction using Wemmbu as a weapon and then discarding him is consistent enough across 3 seasons that it stops looking like bad luck and starts looking like a feature of how powerful players get treated on the server. Prince Zam recruited him, gave him a civilization to build, secretly arranged for flamefrags to kill him, and then looked at the surviving version of Wemmbu and said he was too weak to be worth keeping around. The law imprisoned him and pulled him out on stage specifically so Lattice K could point to him as proof of why he deserved to be king. Arachnid extracted the firework rockets mission, the Merchant City capture, the high water assassination, the full capital city massacre, and then the moment Wemmbu had served every purpose Arachnid needed him to serve, he said good luck and dropped him. Cinecrest received his orbital strikes during the Civil War without him ever choosing to be on their side. Nobody has ever asked Wemmbu to fight with them for a reason he chose. Every military battle he has participated in has been attracted through leverage on eggchan. Strength without autonomy is not strength, and Wemmbu has never once had freedom over what he fights for. Main Pad's legacy is the most quietly damaging thing in Wembu's entire backstory, and most people miss it because it happened early and got overshadowed by everything that followed. Main Pad trained Wemmbu, installed his entire combat philosophy, specifically the lesson that honor is an unnecessary limitation and winning is the only thing that matters, and then looked at the best version of Wemmbu he could produce and decided it was not enough. That label, lost cause, became Wembu's driving motivation for seasons. But what Main Pad actually installed was not just a lesson in fighting. He installed a worldview that disregards other people's lives when they conflict with winning, combined with a hunger for external validation that can always be withdrawn. Wemmbu internalized Main Pad's philosophy without Main Pad's self-sufficiency, and the result is a player who fights without restraint, driven by an insecurity installed by the person who also taught him that emotional restraint was weakness. Main Pad eventually reconciled with flamefrags. He told Flame they would always be brothers. He came back for Flame when Flame needed him, showing up to break him out of the lost prison and raiding the vault on the way out as his version of a payment for the mentorship he had given. Wemmbu never got that conversation. He got a sign, and he has been trying to prove it wrong ever since, because that is the final thread that ties everything together. Wembu's personality is not separate from his problems. It is a direct contributor to them. His impulse cost eggchan a period of freedom when he disobeyed Arachnid's instructions at Steampunk City, killing a civilian and striking Shubili when he was specifically told not to, and Arachnid revoked every concession immediately. His emotion in the underground civilization's minds, destroying 3 Shriekers when he only needed to avoid the third one, got him and Jaden imprisoned and set the timeline back. Every time someone questions his strength, the need to respond overrides the calculation. His disregard for other players' lives has created enemies he did not need and consequences he did not plan for. If Wemmbu had anyone else's personality with his combat ability, his life would be dramatically easier. But his personality is not separate from who he is. The loudness, the need to prove himself, the explosive reactions, they are not bugs in his character. They are features that produce specific outcomes, and he is partly trapped by being exactly who he is. So here's the full picture. Wemmbu is the most powerful player on Unstable SMP, and it's honestly not close. He has done things in fights that no other player on the server has come close to replicating. Eggchan has been kidnapped 5 times. Rejoice is dead. Main Pen never came back for him, and every faction he has ever fought for used Wemmbu as a weapon and discarded him the moment the weapon was no longer needed. And the last thing that happened to him after delivering the most powerful performance in server history was being dropped into a dark pit by the man who promised Eggchan's freedom in exchange for all of it. The strength solved every combat problem he ever faced. It solved none of the actual problems. That is why it genuinely sucks to be Wemmbu. Not because he is weak, but because he is the strongest player in the server, and it has never once been enough to protect the one thing he actually cares about. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe, and if you want to see more videos like this one, check out the video on screen.